human brain interfaces don't scare you, meaning putting an AI in your brain or something. Maybe, maybe not. The most important thing about it is to know what it means, what it does, how AI works. And for this, we talk to Bruce Randall today. Bruce is an author and C-level executive, and his new book is coming out soon, The AI Human Paradox. And that's actually a book that teaches you how to use AI, how to understand AI, so that you can know how to use AI and what are the consequences of AI are. Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Beginner's Guide to AI, another interview episode. It's Dietmar from Argo Berlin on the microphone, and let's just switch to the interview because that's why you're here, I think, and not to hear me talk. And yeah, as I can talk about Bruce Randall a lot, and that will be like some PR text I read, I will just give the microphone to Bruce. And yeah, first of all, welcome to the podcast, Bruce. And what?
Well, Deeper, thank you very much for inviting me. I look forward to speaking with you and talking about AI.
Great. So, but first of all, what got you into AI? Why AI at all?
That's a good question. I was in sales of software when AI came out, and I had this epiphany that AI is more than just software, and it really piqued my curiosity. So a number of people I spoke to asked me about it when I was talking about it, and I talked with what I knew, and they were enthralled with that. And I said, there is an appetite here for this. So I went to MIT and I got a certificate on no code data science. So I understand the back end of it. I understand the front of it end of it from selling the software. And I'm writing a book right now called The AI Human Paradox because AI doesn't always match up with what's best for humanity. And a lot of times it does. And that got my passion going. And when you write a book, you learn so much more than you would if you didn't write the book. So I'm learning an awful lot right now.
I know I'm there. I was there. I had I've written two books. That was
Oh,
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, but more like not that level of books, and not to talk about me. It was more like practical books. But so you started basically. The first thing I'm quite interesting. AI without programming. Basically, you took classes.
yeah. And the purpose for that was we get in a program, and the program gave us different data sets we could work with. And we worked with those to see the different outcomes and the different deltas in the outcomes and how you can work with data to get it to one purpose that you want an output for versus three purposes. So it was very helpful in understanding the algorithms and so forth and back. And when you put a prompt in an AI site, like a large language model, it's helpful to understand what happens in the back end that serves you up your result.
I think that's about there's people saying prompting, so typing stuff into the
Correct.
machine text is still programming.
hmm Yeah.
And
And there's a science to how to do a proper prompt. Because like a search engine, if you put in a question, you have the ability to fine tune it if you don't get what you want. AI is the same way, but AI in the back end works on a database that's updated usually on a monthly basis with loads of data. And it goes into the words that you type and matches other words to it in probabilities as to what will come next and next. And it provides you up your answers. So the words you use are really key in what you get back from an AI's perspective.
mhm. Yeah, this is so it's not that the AI really understands the words, but it makes probabilities.
Correct.
And then so if you put in wrong words, like this is the typical thing, the IT thing, garbage in, garbage out, I guess,
Yeah,
if you
that's
put in
true.
the wrong words. Yeah.
So it makes you think about what you want to ask. And it also, if you upload a document and then ask the AI to give you a professional summary of this with your language type that is easier to understand, it will do that. And it does it in a matter of seconds.
This is a great case of what can you do? You put in a document and say, explain it to the simplest thing. Imagine I'm a sixth grader or something. Then,
Yeah.
but it could also be type, like go for data, go for extrovert, introvert, those disc model types, and so yeah. Nice, nice, yeah.
Yep. There was a study that was done with with a college professor and a number of his students. And the college professor's challenge was to determine which papers were from AI and which ones were from students. Okay.
A typical
So
Turing test, yeah.
it's a very good test. So some people loaded documents in so the AI could get their style and ask them to produce a document. Others, wrote it out without AI. Others just put it in AI. And the professor did got a 60% on his own tests where he was wrong 40% of the time.
Mhm.
So he couldn't tell between, people and
Yeah,
AI.
yeah. This is nearly the coin flip. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Whoa, yeah. That's the problem. So actually, that's I have one class a year in the university where I teach something, and it's luckily a class where people like work lots in groups and so. But it's like I definitely think about this university stuff, and but it's more to it. No, I mean it's like. Is it how should I use I mean you write about ethics with this and so is it ethical to use that or is how would you say?
Well, it's kind of like asking your opinion because ethics is based on somebody's opinion, right?
Oh.
So, and what I say is that, well, what I've learned is that if you ask AI to write something with you and you submit it, then it's technically not yours. It's public domain because it came from
Mm,
public domain
mm,
in the
mm,
US anyway. That's how they look at it. So if you write something and somebody puts it in AI and says, "Where did this come from?" If you come up and another document comes up, well, then it probably came from that other document through you, right? So you
yeah.
have to be careful of that. The book I'm writing, I write it and I'll ask questions to get clarity, and then I'll put it in my own words because I don't want anything to come from AI from the book because then it's not an original document.
So it's like the typical assistant or like a scientific worker working for you or the second pair of eyes and
Right. That's correct. And that's how I look at it. I look at it to provide information that I insert it where I want to insert it and put it in my own words to make the point I'm looking to make. And initially it was definitions because there's new definitions coming up all the time in AI. In fact, some of the definitions are overlapping other definitions now. So
mm.
you have to really be careful when you're looking at an acronym, you have to make sure which one you're looking at.
Yeah, this is such a new science or new area. I mean, not the same like 70 years was there, but now we have
Right.
with ChatGPT and now it's you drive there and there's so much happening. Yeah. But did you really? I mean, how this is really interesting for me. How is the process if you write a book? We will go to the details of the book
Mhm.
later, but how do you write the book? How do you do that? You say you use the AI as an assistant or something like that. How do you do it? How's the process?
Well, the way I do it is if I come up with a term or a phrase that I'm unfamiliar with, I'll put it in AI and I'll say, please define this for me. And it will define it. And then I'll ask for different things from AI. So I get a full version of what it is I'm looking for. And I pick out from that what I want to use and I incorporate it in what I'm working with because it's a term I don't know. I could put it in the search engine and I would get different things. But in a search engine, you don't know what you're getting.
Mhm.
And to the point with AI, My philosophy in AI is trust and verify. Because if it's a fact you're looking
Mhm.
for, make sure you can verify that fact somewhere else because AI is not always 100% correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is hallucination problem. So if you would take,
Yeah,
I mean,
I like
it's
that.
not, yeah, yeah. It's not that Google is better. I mean, you have some people who rank, they are like, whatever reason is they rank, that doesn't mean it's true. It's also not a true truth machine. Yeah,
That's
but yeah.
right.
So fact checking, people out there always check facts. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so it's basically you still write the book. You are just asking questions that you could solve other way in other ways. You could go to Google or to some like Encyclopedia Britannica if they would have something, probably like Wikipedia.
Yeah,
But
Wikipedia would. Britannica is too old. It wouldn't have AI
yeah,
in it.
yeah, yeah. I just remembered
Yeah.
that ship has sailed. Yeah. Um,
But it's good because I try different AIs to see how they react.
mm,
And that gives me a flavor for like Perplexity versus Claude versus Chat GPT. So at the same time, I'm looking at how they're all asking. Well, I'll ask three LLMs the same question and see what kind of result I get. And then I'll ask when they were last updated. And usually it's monthly. One I recently got was updated 2.5 months ago, and I scratched my head and like, I don't think many people know that because it's supposed to be monthly.
No, this is like it's really expensive to upgrade them, so they do
Yes.
that not as often. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, may I ask which AIs you use for your work?
Yeah, I like Perplexity because that goes to about 4 or 5 other AI platforms and gets accumulation of all of them and then provides it to me. Claude is nice for different reasons. Chat GPT, I use that sometimes, but I usually use the others because I'm looking for newer AIs and just to get a flavor to see how they're working so I can write something about them.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of drifting away from ChatGPT now for a few reasons. And I'm going to the other search engines or LLMs because I find that the data that they have, particularly Perplexity, because it goes to different sources, it tends to give me more varied answer, which
Mhm.
is more what I'm looking for. Instead of just one, it gives me options.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Perplexity goes to the web more. It's like the concept is a search engine with AI, and ChatGPT is an AI maybe with search engine, and that
Right.
focus is different. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That so Perplexity. I have it on my list, and I have an account, but I didn't use it that much, so I should change there. Yeah, no, but that leads actually, if you research for your book and you also want to get experience with the AIs, let's talk about the book itself, the AI
Okay.
Human Paradox.
Mhm.
Why the title?
Well, the title is I've been meditating for 20 years and I'm a Reiki master certification. So I've been working in that for a long time and AI is newer on the scene. AI has been around since the 30s or 40s, but it's just in the public in the last couple of years. So and the chips are faster where they can actually run the AI now. So, we've come full circle. And what I found is that AI, when Neuralink put an AI chip on this person's brain, and they could think and move the cursor on the computer. And Nolan, the first candidate, said, sometimes the cursor moves before I even think, but it always goes to the right place. And I said, I can put a pin in an eraser with the paper on top, and I can make the paper spin, and I could work to move the cursor, but it's going to take a lot of time for me. The chip gave him telekinesis right away where he can just think and move. I said, we're getting one step on either side of the bridge and we're coming closer to meeting in the middle. I said,
Mhm.
this is fascinating because I understand, the energetic world, and now we've got AI that's knocking on the door. It's a pretty interesting topic.
That is really something. I mean, this is Neuralink stuff. It's all this story. The guy that suddenly can do stuff, can talk or communicate. Let's say, it's yeah, it is really something happening there. Um, but
And and
what's
I
paradox in there?
well, the paradox is AI is moving so fast right now that that you've got Eric, who's the former CEO of AI in Google. He's coming out with a warning that AI in the next 10 years is going to challenge people. And then we've got another individual that wrote Situational Awareness, Leopold, the last name begins with A, but I can't pronounce it. He has a 165-page document where he's saying, we're going into a place that nobody knows, and we have to be very careful about this because they're both saying that in 10 years, at the rate AI is progressing, that AI is going to challenge us
Mm.
for what we know because it can be as smart or smarter than we are. And then you start slicing that up and you say, we have emotions, we have, um, feelings and consciousness, and AI just has, logic. So there's a miss there. But then when we have people with a chip in their heads, they've got both. And Neuralink is saying, put in an application. If you meet the health requirements and you can afford it, you too can have a chip. So it's mainstream to those that can afford it.
The perspective, and at the start is probably a thing not many people can afford, but if it becomes mainstream, many people can afford it. But I mean, I grew up with science fiction, and William Gibson was this neuromancer. This is exactly what we are looking at, and yeah, ju- you also read it then, or
I've read some of those, and it's eerie how, back then what was science fiction is encroaching on what today's reality is becoming.
yeah.
I mean, who would have thought, right? It's really mind-boggling.
It is. I mean, we live in this science fiction, don't we? This is like
Yeah.
really, yeah,
Yeah, we do because I've had experiences with meditation and so forth, and I've had a lot of experiences. And now with AI, you know, when we grow up, we all have what we call belief codes, which or attachments that we've grown up from kids to adults, and those attachments sometimes help us or hurt us when we get older, right? In our relationships and so forth. And if we have a chip that can gently remind us when one of those attachments comes up so we can improve ourselves, there's a real benefit where people can work on themselves and actually make quick progress to become better people of who they are so they can have better relationships where that's a benefit. But if you go too far, the AI can start to control you, which is not what you want. So it's really a fine line, and there's no guardrails, there's no oversight in it right now. In AI, whatever you can create, go ahead.
this is actually, I always, this is the next level, I think, because I always thought, yeah, then people who can't walk can walk,
Right,
or they like military, or I get stronger, or maybe can even access, let's say, Chinese with the chip or something like that.
right.
But the psychological thing
Mhm.
to work on my habits or my problems, or just having, and it doesn't like you said, it's not a button to like delete all fear or something, but it just reminds me. Yeah. So
AI is actually supposed to be an enabler, and that's a really good way where Nolan, who's paraplegic, who can work a computer with his thoughts, that's a real enabler for us who, we work for years trying to undo these attachments that we've developed at a young age, where if we can do them quicker, we become a better part of society because we don't have these defects coming out all over. So there's a lot of good, and like anything else, there's some negative that can come out of it. Now we haven't seen any negative yet, and hopefully we won't, but the potential exists where that could happen depending on how fast it progresses and if we have no oversights.
yeah, no, this is like, I mean, this is the other thing, yeah, the positive thing and the negative thing, and the AI. But I think this human brain interface is an answer of of a too strong AI. Or what do you think? If the AI comes stronger, we also have to come stronger, become stronger.
Right, right. but and I've said before that, you know, down the road when AI is more mainstream, you have two people that are chipped in a company and the rest of the people aren't. They have to work on a problem together. The AI people through telekinesis and they work so fast, they can come up with a solution while they're still trying to figure out what the problem is. And you've got a division formed. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to integrate the two. But it's human nature. If I can get to the answer faster, I'd like to do that. And if these people are slower, well, maybe they can do something else. So you've got down the road, you've got things that need to be worked on, but we're not quite there yet.
Mhm. Um, is it also a thing? I mean, I was now going and we talked about this direction, like improve the humans, but is it, what you said, weaker or do stuff? Is it also a kind of separation of work? Some the AIs do one thing, the humans do another, or what do you think? Where we are still needed in this whole world, the future world?
But we're still needed and we'll always be needed. It's just a matter of do we have all the free will that we have, or do we're going to lose some of it? So AI is coming in medical software where it's going to hopefully allow everything to talk together because it's very disparate systems. And if they can do that, that's a wonderful thing for everybody because anything can be sent from one place to another electronically instead of disparate systems that don't talk. That's a big help. But if it goes too far, it can say, you're not a good candidate for what you want to have do, you're denied, but it doesn't know the whole story. It just knows the data side of it, right?
Mhm.
So there's two sides to anything. And since I've been writing about it, I'm looking at all different aspects of it that, you know, the rate that we're going forward with AI, these things are going to be coming at us, in a year or two versus 10 or 20 years. So we have
Mhm.
to start thinking about them.
Mhm. Uh, what should, I mean, you are deep in the topic. What should we do?
Well, I think what people should do is just, get knowledgeable on AI because if you have knowledge of it, you can deal with it much better than if you just don't know anything about it. So getting knowledgeable on it because it's going to affect everybody. I mean, it's in our phones right now. It's if you have, a home system like Alexa or something, it's in that. So it's in many different areas. You just have to get to understand what AI is, what it can do, and what you want it to do so that you can deal with it when it comes up. Because it will come up in medical records, it will come up in home systems, it comes up in phones, it's in enterprise software, AI is built into most of it right now. People just don't know. They just say, hey, it's got great capabilities. Well, that's AI.
Oh, that's yeah. I just push a button and something comes out, and that I send to a client or something
Right.
like that. And how did you create that? There was a button.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you ask for things to be created by AI and you hand them in, and you've just read it, it doesn't mean you understand it.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
there's a risk there also. That's why I make sure I'm looking up what I don't know and I'm incorporating in what I do know to make it make sense.
So it's a homework for all the people. Don't get lazy in your brain. I mean, it's like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to take a course on it, there's plenty of AI online courses. It's a good thing to do because at some point you're going to be dealing with it yourself. And if you know something about it beforehand, you're better off than if you get it and you have to learn about it then.
Yeah, yeah. So AI literacy is basically one of the things, and where you could say if you know, if you understand what happens, it's not going to lead you in wrong paths.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And you can direct it. You can direct it to what you want, and you'll know what to do with what you get if there's AI in it instead of just accepting it without thinking.
Mhm. Um, let's talk a little bit more about the book because
Sure.
what would you say if we have a beginner's audience? The people all use AI. If they look at your book, what's the biggest the biggest unexpected takeaway there? I mean,
That's a good question. So the biggest unexpected takeaway is I'm writing this to the audience that doesn't know what AI is. So I'm introducing them to AI and I'm bringing them along to a point where they can understand it. And that's the point of the book is most people just don't understand it. And if they can pick something up and read it and all of a sudden get an understanding and refer back to it, because there's definitions in there and abbreviations for like AI is artificial intelligence, right? And a lot of people don't even know that. So if you get that, then you get to know the language and you get an understanding for the meanings.
mm,
So in every part of your life, you've got a basic understanding now. And that's what's missing now. There's no way just to get a basic understanding of it. Everything's so advanced. You're talking something an engineer wrote, or there's nothing for the average person.
yeah, yeah. I had that. I taught to people like simple travel agents, and they were like, great that you explain that in simple words because they try to read around in websites and whatever, and it's all. We started the topic with prompts. No? For us,
Right.
it's kind of a prompt what you put in. No? It's but it's definition. You have to know what it is. If you just hear it, you don't know what it is, and you're like, oh God, none of those.
Right.
Yeah, esoteric terms.
In the software industry, everything's abbreviated. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with it, you're not going to know what the heck they're trying to tell you.
I don't know if you ever watched the IT Crowd, this British series. There's an episode where this is for all the people out there. If you didn't watch it, it's on Netflix. I think it's great British humor on nerds or with nerds and. Where a normal businesswoman becomes head of a IT department of 2 to 3 people, and a colleague then later asks her, "And what does the term IT mean?" And she's the whole episode distracting because she doesn't know. So
Yeah, that would be comical.
it's the same with AI, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why this is something for everybody, so they can just get up to the basic knowledge of what they need to know.
Yeah. Um, so if you think about humans and AI, we have to learn something. But is the AI is it actually that we ever have like a can we think of the AI in human terms, or do we have to think new models and new ways of thinking about?
We can think about in human terms because AI is really calculus in the back end, right? So if we think logically, we can follow AI. If we think emotionally, we can somewhat follow it, but it's a logical path.
Mhm.
So when AI kicks something out, you can ask it, put it in like sixth grade or 10th grade understandable explanation, and it will bring it down to that level where you can understand it. So if you ask for it to do that, it will do it. And that's another way to learn about that, but it's not an organized way. It's just whatever comes to your mind, you put it in and and you learn. The book I have is more of an organized way to bring them into AI and what it is, and then what the segments are, what the abbreviations are, and what they mean, and then what it means to you.
Mhm. The book is also addressed, or is one of the, I don't know if main audience, but is definitely business people, as you have a business background.
Mhm.
And uh, on the business side, what would you think is the most important thing people have to learn to adapt to the new AI age?
I think for business, they need to understand how AI can enable them to become more efficient because everybody has different processes of doing things. And smaller to mid-sized companies, they've done them forever. And there's ways to make them more efficient so that you can save on expenses and then put those expenses into another area. And I would suggest for every business to just take an introductory course to AI because of everybody. These business people really need to understand what it is and start to understand what it can do for them. Because if they don't do that, their competitor down the street that does, they're going to be way behind in a couple of years when that competitor is moving forward. Because AI is an enabler for businesses that can help them do things better, more efficient, and understand markets better than they currently do.
Mm. Because you mentioned small, medium-sized enterprise, would you think that who's more affected or who has more advantages using AI? The big ones, the small ones?
I think the big ones, there's a company in, I think it's in France. It's called Sanofi, and it is a pharmaceutical company that has embraced AI in every part of the business. And Paul, the CEO, is takes pride in that because he's letting people grow at their pace to enable them, and they've cut the time to develop a drug from years to weeks because they can get formulations out faster and get the top three formulations out in a week, so to speak. And then they know which three to test, where otherwise it takes a year to figure out which three to test. And with each segment of his business working in AI, they're finding efficiencies that are really making an impact on the bottom line and bringing products to market faster. That's a good high level example that can also be applied to small businesses. They can work just as well for them. It's just a different type of outcome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if in the grand scheme of things, if I can cure cancer, or not, let's say a little lower, it's some illness or so, yeah, that is
Right.
like makes big changes. But yeah, if I have a small shop, it's probably not as big. But I didn't know about Sanofi. They use. I have to research on that. It's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating. There's a TED talk on that, and
Mm.
I would listen to that where Paul goes into detail on what he's doing and what gains he's gotten and what the benefits are. It's fascinating.
Oh, great. Yeah. We'll definitely go into that. This is okay, they're around the corner, France. That's also
Yeah.
making sense. And I love to hear some European examples because whatever you hear now, it's like, yeah, there's the US and maybe China, and that's it. And I'm like in good old Germany here, good old Europe.
Well,
So
there's a lot there too, but
yeah. Uh,
here, Neuralink really,
yeah.
they're an AI brain computer interface company, and they like the limelight. They like to publicize what they're doing. Most other companies don't, but they like that. So they're getting the word out, and that's what caught my attention and why I got so deep in this because I said if they're doing this, did you know in the US or no globally there's 15 other companies that are doing brain computer interface work,
Mm, mm.
and
That's
you never hear of any of them.
yeah, yeah.
They're doing some pretty drastic things, and it's good to know what they're doing.
Yeah. No, I know about one here in Berlin. They're at the Humboldt University, the Charité, and but they do that differently, different approach, and I think not as visionary. And that's the interesting thing again. I mean, yeah.
You can do in the carotid vein. You can put a an AI pill in there that goes in and connects to your brain and connects to a computer. I mean, it can be that simple nowadays. It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, this is it's good that we talk about it because the people out there, this is not science fiction. People do
It's
it.
real today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to explain it in terms that they understand, it just gives an overall picture as to where certain segments of the market are now and where the regular market is. And the point is, get to know AI to your convenience level, to what's comfortable for you, because at some point you're going to be dealing with it, and it's better to know before than when you need to know.
Yeah. No, this is like I really have to think about the science fiction books where they had whatever they had in there. We played those role play games where we had like cyber limbs and whatever, and this is not so far. It's like yeah,
Well, and Elon Musk has got autonomous cars now where they can sense people, and you get picked up in a car that doesn't have a driver and you get delivered. It's a different experience.
yeah. Okay, this is there's many people working on that and it still needs some time, but it's the scale and the vision I think Elon has. This is something not many people. What was this? No, one company, the GM company just stopped.
They
their
stopped, right?
yeah, because it was too expensive for them because they are traditional and they don't have the vision. And I think that is also a thing. If that's why you have to embrace AI fully, where you say
It's hard to do it partially, and get the full benefit of it, or to be able to stay with it. So even in small businesses, they can choose one area where it's going to benefit them and go. And the easiest way for them is is a chatbot to deal with the customers because they can
Mhm,
program that. And a restaurant, for example, if somebody has a bad meal and they put in a bad review, they can automatically get an apology back and a discount to come back. So when they come back and they present that coupon, you know it's a second try and you give them the best you can give them because you know you're trying to make up for a negative, right?
yeah.
And that's an AI and a chatbot that just helps everybody, right? And it's a low level thing that most customers can do
Mhm.
that doesn't take a lot but gives a nice benefit.
Yeah. That would be a great step to start with AI. Do you have other tips for if I want to start, have a small firm, like, but only
Mhm.
imagine 50 people working there. What would be the first step you would advise to the people?
Well, if it's just a company and I don't know what the company is, I would say that you could work with HR to make it friendlier to the people, where you could get them quick responses. Um, you could send out encouraging messages to them on a regular basis, which that's always in short supply in businesses, right? So if you send out encouraging messages and
Yes.
you know each person, you can send them something that's meaningful to them.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you have happier people, you generally have more production or a better experience.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Because there's not enough people nowadays. The time where
Right.
people there's so many people applied for your firm. There yeah, yeah. So keep the people you have. It's like, yeah, what can you do there? Yeah.
And people want to feel appreciated, and an AI can help them feel appreciated.
Wow. Yeah. It's a nice step because I love it that it's just one area. It's not too
Mhm.
big. It's a project you can do. You can see what happens and you can see
Mhm.
the results, like few people quitting, or people even advertising to others. You have to apply to that firm. So it's really like easy to measure the results. And
Yeah,
if
and
it doesn't work, yeah.
your people are your most expensive resource in a company. So
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
you want to
Yeah.
retain them because it's very expensive to change.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, it's really they once they change, they take away a lot of knowledge and not it's not yet in the AI, so it doesn't stay in the firm.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Um, uh, Apart from the book you wrote, do you
Mhm.
have something where you use AI in daily? What do you, is it a typical use case? What's the cases you do? I'm just curious how you work with AI.
Okay, I use AI in my in the searches that I do. I have perplexity on my phone, and if I'm out, I'll ask the question, and I'll get a better answer because I can ask the prompt specific questions. Where if I go to Google, I get sites that can give the answer, but it doesn't bring me to write the answer, right?
Mhm,
I have to
mhm,
go to the site and then look for the answer. With AI, I just get the answer, right? And I can discern whether it's accurate or not, or whether I need to follow up on that, depending on how I do that. I have AI is built into the software on my phone, and sometimes it's a pain in the neck, but sometimes it helps me, right? So I can turn it off or I can turn it on. And that's AI for the masses. It's not catered to me. It's catered to everybody. Um, and that's how I use it on a day-to-day basis. But I also do research on a daily basis to see how these projects are coming along and to see what's written about them or what new things have come out. Because if I'm in a small business and I'm making widgets, I'm going to keep up to date on the widget industry because I really want to know what's new in that industry, what's coming out, what I need to do to keep my competitive and comparative
mhm,
advantage, in the marketplace. And with writing the book, I'm doing that with AI. And, it used to be AI and BCI. Now it's autonomous, it's super intelligence. There's all these acronyms that are coming in that are meaning different things, but that just is a testament to how fast it's moving forward. And I explain all that in the book because, it's good for people just to understand that in plain terms.
Yeah. I think understanding the fear fa factor, and
Yeah.
actually that's a good segue into the whole fear factor, because my last question of the interview would be, how probable do you think a Terminator or Matrix scenario is? The machines taking over.
Well, I think, depending on who you read, Ray Kurzweil is a futurist. He's been with AI since the very beginning, and now in 2 years ago, we've had a chip that would be able to run AI, so we can actually see what AI does. But he kind of thinks that in 10 to 20 years, AI is going to run us, and he says there's no way around it. It's going to happen. And I don't agree with that because he's a futurist and he's got a little bit of an edge to him. Um, I take a pragmatic view, and I think that within 10 years, we're going to find noticeable differences where with BC brain computer interface and with autonomous AI, where it can operate on its own without human intervention, we're going to see these things out there. We're going to learn what works and what doesn't work through trials, and evaluations. And then at some point, we're going to start getting some oversight in the AI industry because it's going to come to a point within the next 10 years that somebody needs to be overseeing this because, you know, somebody can take a right turn and have an attitude and create an army of AI robots, right? And, I mean, that's not realistic right now, but it's not that far off if somebody wanted to do that. And we just need to guard against those things,
Yeah.
right? And that's to your comic book thing where, you get an AI army coming at you. What do you do? Right? So,
No, but this is a good idea that it's not happening from now to in 2 weeks. It's a
right,
process, and we
right.
have still control over it. And
You do.
the Ray Kurzweil vision. I mean, he's a great guy,
Yeah.
but it's
No, and
like, yeah, I would recommend to read his books. It's like, yeah, he's right in many things. Yeah, but one has to still take it with a grain of salt, I think.
his book's about this thick and it's 2 chapters.
Yeah. And probably not written with AI. This is a, yeah,
Well,
great guy.
maybe you'd be
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah. He has
He's
his
the
own
king of
hairs.
AI.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's good to hear that you also see the Terminator scenario is not that probable. It's possible, but not probable, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So the last thing, and really important, tell us where we can find you, where we can find the book, and yeah, that's really important, I think.
Okay, I have a website, the AIhumanparadox.com, and I'm still developing it. It's up and it's full, but I'm updating it as I go. You can reserve the book there. I have a meeting Friday and the book is getting formatted and I'll have it out first quarter, depending on how fast everything moves. And the website was built so that I can put addendums to the book on there. Since it's moving so fast, I can put updates on it
Yeah.
because the book is going to be good for a year or two, but the updates for some parts of it are going to be coming pretty quick.
Oh, that's actually great. I always, when I had those, I read and talked to people, and they said books are so 20th century. You
Yeah,
have to do something else, and that's actually someone following through that, updating books, and that's really, yeah. It's not possible in the. I mean, it's sad. I love to read books in paper, but
yeah,
I think it's just obsolete nowadays.
yeah. The younger generation wants to read it on the screen, and I'm going to come up with an electronic book. But there's enough people that need to understand basic AI that I figured I'm going to put it out in a book, and then the website's going to be continuing to be updated, so it's going to help everybody.
Yeah, makes sense. Also, the first version, if you get it, I don't know when we exactly publish. So people out there, it's probably January when we are out. So the
Yeah,
book is out soon, and you can go to Bruce's website. I will put it in the show notes, so you don't have to remember how it is, and you can test it for yourself, order it, and then later get the updates. I love the concept. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you. I think it's needed now, and I hope a lot of people benefit from it.
Yeah. So once the book is out, I think we might we talk again about the book. That might be. Um,
Sure.
and but up until then, I would say thank you for this great interview. We went deep into different interesting topics here and what you can put in the brain and
Yeah.
ethics of AI was something. So Bruce, thank you for being here, and yeah, get the book, people.
Thank you, Dietmar. It was a pleasure being on, and I look forward to another podcast with you.
Wow, that was a wild ride. Thank you, Bruce. And really, this is a lot of things we covered. And people on the listening, you might have realized it triggered some science fiction memories with me and stuff I was always thinking about. So it was great talking to Bruce and connected to him, get his book. And also, while you are at it, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. It's agroberlin.com/newsletter. You can also follow the podcast on your podcasting app. And I hope to have you back in the next episode. Switching off, it's your host, Dietmar.